Welcome to the Finance Geeks, a podcast about real financial planning. If you're into numbers, strategies, and building a great planning business, this is your ultimate geeky hangout.
Well, hello there, and welcome to this Personal Finance Society Power Hour with me, Carrie Bendel, and our guests this morning, Warren Shute and Paul Cleworth. Hello, both of you. How are you? Wonderful to see you.
Good, thanks. Yeah.
Good to see you, Carrie.
Beyond 1 million, building a business that truly matters. Warren, you're going to get into that in a minute, but why the Finance Geeks? Why is that sitting next to this? Why did you decide to do this with Paul?
Because Paul's good fun. Paul's a funny guy, entertaining guy. You got a good character, good sense of humor, and you give me a bit of banter. And Paul and I would just have conversations on the phone. He's a very successful guy, so I'd ring him up, pick his brains. He's tremendous at ideas, and forgive me if you don't want to be known for this, Paul, but you are very good at marketing and branding. We would just have chats on the phone, and I'd come away pretty inspired. And afterwards, I sort of thought, you know what, maybe we should just record this. And
what? Do you know it's 2 years ago? It's February 24 that we started.
Is that right? God,
yeah,
blimey.
just over 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were so complimentary about me. I don't have anything good to say about you. I was thinking of cancelling the Finance Geeks soon. I thought we'll just quit now. We've done 2 years. That's enough. I'm loath to say I actually do learn from Warren. And he's been in the business longer than me and is a bit older than me. So I'd like to say I listen to my elders, but most of the time I don't listen to him. Just take the mickey.
And so, dear audience, you now know what a fun hour you're just about to have with these two chatting to you, sharing their wisdom, sharing their sense of humour, and hopefully passing on some golden nuggets that you can implement in your own business, if not your own life. I'm going to hand over to this amazing twosome, and I'll see you at the end to handle any questions that you may have. So they'll be on air for about 45 minutes. And please pop your questions in the Q&A box, and I'll sift through them and try and ask as many as I can. Over to you two.
Thanks, Carrie. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Our outcome today really is it's kind of like on the back of the PFS conference. Paul and I did a session on stage there that was very well attended, and Carrie thought it'd be nice to repeat that on a similar sort of scale on the PFS Power. So really what we want to talk about is not just how we got to the million, as it were, but what's beyond that, why we did it, what our why was, and what we really stand for, and how or why we still really enjoy what we do. Is that fair, Paul? Is that sort of thing you're thinking of?
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, isn't it? Because this figure of 1 million, it's a completely arbitrary number. It's a nice rounded number, a great figure to achieve in terms of a turnover figure for your business. But it's a turnover for show and profit for dough, isn't it? Initially when we set up. And I'm 10 years ago, Tandem's 10 years old this year. I do remember having a monetary target in mind and doing my own plan to sort of see what the trajectory was in terms of number of clients and assets and values. And you think, right, well, I'm running a business. I should probably try and be profitable. I want to be compliant and ethical and do a good job. But over the years, it's trying to really think about what do I stand for, what's important to me, am I doing a good job, and how can I improve? So I think both of us are now beyond that number, but we're both quite small firms, aren't we? We're not sort of trying to be the next Quilter or Hargreaves Lansdown or SJP. We don't want hundreds of people working for us.
What I find interesting, Paul, is we've never planned our businesses together. We never sort of sat down and said, oh, we should do it this way. Yet when we talk about it, there are lots of similarities the way we do business.
Yeah, I think that's probably because we share similar values. We both like proper financial planning. We both like building the relationship with clients.
I thought you were going to say 80s movies.
We both like good wine. We're both similar ages, and I think it's we talked about the duo then, didn't we? I'll be Batman, you can be Robin. Not the other way around.
You, of course.
Well, I think the fact that we've got our clients' interests at heart, and we're both similar in terms of size of numbers of staff. And we both share the same sort of sense of humour. We've built a friendship over the last, I don't know what it is, 5-10 years or whatever that I've known you. And it's only been 2 years ago when we thought, do you know what? Should we give something back? Should we see how it goes? It was, for me, it was just sort of having a go at the Finance Geeks to sort of say, this helps me actually think about my business. And if I can have clients be a fly on the wall and listen in to what we actually do. Do you remember we started talking about addressing clients as our audience, and then very quickly we thought, no, it's financial planners, and we changed our tone, didn't we, about what we're trying to achieve with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So today's session really is going to be about the overreaching strategy of how we run the business and what we do and stuff. And we've kind of broken it down into three main component parts: mindset, plan, and then action. So as we go through, you'll be able to follow that. The first section is on mindset, second section is on plan, and the third section, last section, is on action. And we feel that I think all three of these components are essential to build a successful firm.
Yeah. It's so I get it a lot, don't you, about what does it mean to be successful? And I find as part of this, the mindset, should we go on to that section? Is that the next slide, Warren?
Yeah, next slide.
Oh, no, we started off with this about mindset. This was quite interesting. We put this quote in from Oscar Wilde about being yourself. Be yourself, everyone else is taken. And it definitely resonated with me, because I find that if you try to do something that others have already done, like there's lots of successful financial planning firms out there. And if you one of the things you can do to grow is you can copy some of the things that they do, because a lot of it, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But at the same time, what I was very big on is actually, inserting my own personal values and brand, and sort of saying, what do I believe in? What do I want to do with this information, and how can I develop it? And as part of a top tip, I would encourage everybody to try and be unique and have a USP and say, how do I differ in terms of the service and my offering to, my clients compared to the general pub, all the other IFAs out there.
And I think, you ribbed me a bit on the podcast for always saying this, but what you're saying is, what is it? What am I about? What's my outcome? What's my identity? What am I looking to strive for, and keep that foremost in your mind, really, because I think there's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS, okay, and it filters out lots of information all the time. If we paid attention to everything that we was aware of, we'd be overwhelmed. Right. So right now, you're probably not aware of the temperature of your left foot or the pressure on your right bum cheek. Okay. So your brain deletes it out. But if we write down put on paper what our outcome is, what we're looking to achieve, what we're moving forward towards, and then constantly look at that, so every day and stuff, that's going to help us move more towards what we want. Yeah. So it's important that we're mindful and we're aware of what our outcome is. What do we want? Who are we? And not just be a ship in the ocean that hasn't got a sail, it's just drifting with the waves.
Yeah. The words that I remember writing down on here was very much about authenticity and integrity. And I can't say it enough. When you're in a meeting with a client and you're having a chat with them, I remember 25 years ago when I started in the industry, I was using a sales patch. I was trying to say all the right words, and I was trying to sort of be someone that I'm not. And going to the very heart of this phrase here, this line from Oscar Wilde, I can't. One of the top tips I would always say to everyone is absolutely be yourself. And integrity matters, authenticity matters, and it really, what you can't do is sort of be a robot with clients. They're human beings that we're dealing with, and it's important when you're building the relationship to sort of empathize with them, understand them, build this rapport with them, and do it in a way that's going to help with both of you. It's a win-win. You're helping the client, you get paid for it, and so I'm very much trying to go from the sort of super professional and accurate to having fun with the client. And it all comes down to the mindset and the values. The more experience you have over time in life and in finance, the more you can relate to your clients and the more you can help them solve problems. And I think success is not just growing the business to a number. It's actually feeling like you're building something, building a legacy, helping people really achieve their goals. And it comes down to, it starts with a mindset, as we're saying. You need clarity on why you're building your business in the first place.
Yeah, I think as human beings or anything living really wants to grow. So growing a business is improving. I think we all want to improve and grow. If we're not growing as individuals, we kind of feel a bit stuck in our life. But it's my belief that ultimately all we want to be is happy. So everything we do to bring us more happiness. So we might work harder to earn more money so that we can do things that are having more fun, or we feel more significant, or we feel more financially secure, whatever it might be. But we're doing it ultimately to be happier. And I think the mindset for me is really know what it is you want, and then make that crystal clear, write it down, and move more towards it.
Yeah. We're dealing with people's monies. We're dealing with people's lives, and I've met lots of advisors over the years, and you read a lot in the paper about scandals and about people selling it as if it's a product. You're selling them something. Well, you are selling yourself. You are using products to help solve problems, but it absolutely comes down to integrity all the time. And I like that phrase. Integrity is something is the way you act when no one else is watching. And it's I see that people will do things in finance when they're running a business, perhaps if they're starting out, perhaps if they're not doing particularly well and they need to sell a product to a client to earn a commission. They might cut corners, they might not be honest and be transparent. And all of these rules that we have to follow, everything from consumer duty to obviously all the compliance rules and FCA rules, you have to ask yourself all the time, am I doing this for the client's benefit, or is it for my benefit, or is it a win-win? And what I think that people should do is sort of, as they build their confidence in their business and their brand and their abilities, you can charge more, you can satisfy, you can justify rather the amounts that you're charging to your clients, and you can do it and sleep at night. And that for me comes down to this very point of mindset. I want to be unique. I want to be independent as a business and make my own decisions. And as you say, adapt to those changes along the line, because it's fun, isn't it? It makes it interesting for me. It's one of the most fun parts of the job, developing the business and the brand. How can I be the best version of myself? So we start with mindset. Let's talk about, once we've got a mindset, the plan aspect of it, because we've got on the screen here, Warren, the plan is a combination of these three things: the systems we use, the purpose, and the people we work with. So tell us a bit about your business and how this integrates with you, how this resonates with you.
So I think the plan, the strategy that you've got is essential, because it goes back to what I said about mindset, about what is it you want? Do you want to build a multi-planner firm, huge outfit, and float it, sell it, whatever it might be? Do you want more of a lifestyle business? What's your outcome? What is it you're looking to accomplish? Once you know that, it's much easier then to slot things in along the way. I personally don't want to work and build something up and sell it in the future only to have the financial reward or the success at the end. Life's a journey, right? Life's a journey to enjoy. So I want to enjoy the process as I go through it. So that's my outcome. So I enjoy it.
The wild card, or rather the issue with the title that I have of this very podcast that we're doing, this presentation, is about the numbers. Because as you said, then, if you're being yourself, you're being unique, you might not want to turn over $1 million. You might not be able to. You might not want to take on staff. I think that it's starting with the end in mind is important. Deciding what you want to build as a business. Do you find that your best skill set is speaking to clients? Is it advising? Can you wear multiple hats and actually do all of the other things that are required, including managing staff, appraisals, compliance, marketing? If you can get involved in these things, great. But you find that as you're building the business, you and I, Warren, will have experienced this. You get to a point when you've got too much going on, you're wearing too many hats, and you have to delegate, you have to get support in. And I think that for me, I never wanted to be a really big business with 10 advisors, 20 advisors. That wasn't my outcome at all. And the money part of it, the turnover, is all a consequence of being successful. It's a consequence of doing your job really well. So in terms of the people aspect of this, I started with a power planner that was at my previous firm, and he came along with me, quickly got an office manager or administrator, and then we've not built it massively. We're only 6 people now. I always say 6.5 because my wife is the half, she does the books and stuff, but basically it's now 2 advisors rather than 1, because we've got to a stage where I've got almost too many clients to deal with myself. I've had to take on another advisor. But I look after my people very well.
I think the key thing for me to get across to the listeners is, what do you want? what is your outcome? What are you working towards? And then design the business to meet your objectives. And you're absolutely right. Unless you're it's very likely that you're going to need to rely on other people to help you do your business, whether that is you employ them, you outsource them, and you've got to have, I believe, the right people in the right seats. Yeah, recruiting is so key. Do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have
it's also very tough, though, isn't it?
Gino Wickman sort of quote. Yeah, very tough.
It's also tough, isn't it, to find the right people?
Yep. I would say it's the
some people love
part of the
working
job.
long hours. Oh yeah. Some people love to work long hours, and they see that the more meetings that I have, the more that I sign up, the more transfers and clients that I take on, the more money I'm going to make. And in that instance, in that example, money is the motivator essentially. And I like it what Jeff Bezos always says about a business is only a business if it can run without you. And the financial planning business with a one-man band, and I used to be a sole advisor for a long time up until 7-8 months ago, and took on a second advisor. But it's for me to do the job, the best version of myself, to do the job as well as I can. I need to be clear-headed. I need to have my own plan of action. I need to make sure I've got the right people that I'm working with, and to have this plan that we're talking about, having a business plan. It keeps getting refined for me because it's not a static thing. It's not a number involved. Like yourself, I've explored the succession of my business. Do I, look to sell it in the future? Is it worth? Is it what I want to do? I actually have explored that and have decided, no, that's not for me. I actually care too much about my clients, my staff, and thinking, I want to build a legacy. I want to build a business that's memorable, that's doing a great job, that has a great reputation. And if that business can generate a good lifestyle for me and a good income for me, then happy days. I want to pay my staff, look after them well, look after my clients, be fair and be reasonable. And so it comes down to very much, that the purpose. It's deciding, is it a number I'm moving to? What stage of my business journey am I in? Is it just the growth phase, or am I actually getting to a point where I'm trying to have a really good lifestyle, no evening work, no weekend work?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's what are you moving towards? Does that make sense? So I think in life, we're either moving away from something. So we're moving away from some kind of pain, poverty, stress, whatever it might be, or we're moving towards something. And I think you hit the nail on the head, right, inadvertently. But I think what the aim is to really push towards what it is that you want. What is it you're moving towards? And I'd say before you take on the people, you've got to have the systems. You've got to have the processes and systems in place. Paul Etheridge, you always used to say to me, take routine thought out of everyday action. You don't want to be thinking about that letter every time you write the same letter. You need to have a system of how the business gets processed, how you run your client meetings. We are highly structured we have a process called the end-to-end systems, our standard operating system manual, and it covers everything from how we answer the phone to how I conduct a discovery meeting to I conduct a planning meeting, and every client gets the same template. Every meeting is individual, and we'll flex it. But I don't think, what am I going to discuss with this client today? I just get the agenda out and we follow the agenda. I think
it's hard
having
to get to that stage, though, Warren, isn't it? It's not something that
I think
you refine it over time.
Yeah, but I think it's a belief system. We say it's hard. I think it's like, if anything was easy, it's not worth accomplishing. It's just about writing down what you do. So, okay, let's start with a meeting. You don't have to have a whole manual. How am I can conduct my first meeting? Let's write it down. That's my agenda. I'm going to follow that agenda every single time.
It's also valuing your time as well. Because I've had meetings previously, as you will have, where they just go on and on. They go on for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you know that you're doing it too long. You're waffling. You're not sticking to plan, and you're not valuing your time or your client's time. You've got to be conscious of their time as well. So I think that talking about the numbers and working it backwards, I do think it's important to think about how many people can I serve? How many clients can my business, my structure, my abilities serve? Is it 50 or is it 100? And when I look at the fact that we've got 225 client families, you're thinking, oh my God, how do I look after this? There's about 375 clients. Well, the reality is there's quite a long tail. There's only about 75 to 80 client families that have got 80% of the assets. So they're the financial planning clients. The rest are sort of wealth management clients that have got lower levels of assets that I still work with. But I can't make every client be million, £2 million of assets, everyone's the same. But what you can do is repetition with regards to the process, booking in the meetings. You do yours, don't you? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's one of your systems, 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And I love that. I don't stick to that myself. It's never evening or weekends appointments, and it's never Friday afternoon, but it's sort of realistically sometime in the morning or even I'm fairly flexible. But I personally don't want to do more than 4 meetings a week. It's exhausting. You got to decide, do I want to do them on Teams or Zoom, or do I want to see them in person? And I personally prefer seeing all my top clients in person, and they come to the barn and they come and see me. And if they just can't that year and I have to do it on Zoom, it's fine. But you can't get across that rapport, that relationship sometimes via Teams or Zoom. And when it's a really big meeting with them about a serious subject, meeting them in person is worth it.
Yeah. So you touched on it there. So let me just sort of explain the structure of how I operate. So I work 6 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and that rotates throughout the year. When I'm off, I'm not always away on holiday, but I'm not in the office. It kind of allows the team time to catch up and do administration, that kind of thing. I work typically a 4-day week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I see clients 10 a.m. typically. 10 till 12 is a 2-hour planning meeting. And then in the afternoon, I might do a catch-up meeting or something like those lines. Then on Thursday is internal meeting. So 9 o'clock, I have a team huddle. All my team meet together. 10:30 level 10. And then in the afternoon, I do admin and stuff. And that is the structure that we live by 52 weeks of the year. There's not an exception, stuff around the rule. Sometimes on occasion, maybe once or twice a year, a client might come in the afternoon. But it's very unusual, very unusual.
Do you let clients WhatsApp you?
Yeah.
Do you WhatsApp your clients? You do? I just wondered how you let them communicate with you.
Yeah, we have a business WhatsApp. So we have WhatsApp linked to our main office line, and everyone's got WhatsApp on their desktops. We WhatsApp clients. We just copy it and paste it into the contact history. So we do it that way. So yeah, clients WhatsApp and things.
I'm going to come back to the people in a second, but just focus on the systems a little bit. You're incredibly systematized in your workflows and have everything written down. And I sort of get that. For me, it's just that I'm not quite there 100%. I don't feel, we're evolving our processes and systems as a business to try and using technology to try and become more efficient and do our jobs more efficiently and effectively. So we talked in the last or the previous TFG podcast that we did about AI, and we might end up doing another full podcast on it. And I'm learning about it all the time. And as a 49-year-old man who's not super technical, I'm thinking, right, I need to probably get to grips with this. And you've got to have, if it's not you who comes up with the ideas in the business, and it probably is as the business owner, but you've got to employ people that will help drive the business forward, search the best software for you. There's not one bit of software that is perfect for everybody. I know those that use Voyant or Truth or Cash Calc or FinCalc or whatever financial planning software they use, as long as it works for you, fantastic. Same with the back office systems. I know you use Microsoft Teams for calls, don't you? And I use Ivonix, which is a VoIP system. And when you look at your tech stack and you look at all of these systems that you're using, I'm really thinking, what am I replicating? And I'm always thinking, my head's spinning all the time about how can I do this quicker, more efficiently, so that I can spend my time actually delivering the advice. And now using things like Saturn for recording meetings and creating the notes and so forth, it's definitely getting better and more efficient. And I don't want to, I've said to my staff, I don't want to use that as a springboard to sort of take on another 20% of clients or another 10 clients this year. I don't want to, my outcome is not more clients, more assets, more money. It's sort of it's difficult because I'm thinking I want to engage with my existing clients as best as I can and improve the relationship with them, knowing that with AI on the horizon now and just part of most people's lives, how am I going to remind the clients of the value that I bring and that we offer them as a business? And again, the systems part of it, for me, it's very human. It's all well and good having brilliant systems that WhatsApp and email and send all this stuff to your clients, but are they reading it? What's the friction that they have? And do you send them a link or a PDF? Do you meet them in person? Are they actually engaged with you? And do they actually know what you offer? Because you think they know, they don't.
I think that engagement with clients is down to the conversations you have. It's the questions you ask and really building deep and meaningful relationships with clients. I think that's the really important thing. And you said something there about, you're not using technology to grow the business. And I think that's because we're mature businesses, and I'd be the same. And I think really, it depends on what stage their businesses are, because the technology can really allow them to see more people quickly in scale. Whereas for other firms, it's more about, okay, how can I deliver a better service, and how can I maybe do less hours? We came up this year. We've always had an error log, so if something went wrong, we'd record the errors and stuff like that. But we rebranded it called the issues log now. So semantically, it's slightly lighter, and it's each individual's responsibility to log things on there that are an issue. Okay, so it's not an error anymore. It's not a problem, but it's like, hey, do you know what? It took me a long time to fill this form out, a lot longer than it should have done. That's going on the issues log. Yeah, and then we raise it. So we're using that. But I'm not one for jumping on to different technologies and stuff. I think my best friend sort of refers to it as shiny toys. You know, you're playing with other people's shiny toys all the time. Just play with your own tech stack. Get it really good.
I'm not his best friend, by the way, listeners.
You are. It's, you know, it's just like, you know, it's very much like, you know, why do I want to be doing all these other things? It just takes a lot of time up. So sometimes I'll wait until the software is very mature and ready, then embrace it. But I'm not really one for just trying everything out. I might tinker with it, but I'm not going to bring it into my business.
There's lots of discussions on tech, isn't there, all the time? And I know businesses that use so many different bits of software that not only are you just running the gauntlet with when one breaks, as it invariably will, you know, what's the backup, and everything from where do you store your data to which back office system you use, and you know, how do you communicate with clients? Let's talk in terms of the people, right? So I've tried to employ people that are better at they are better at doing their job than I am. And we have an R&R's document, so roles and responsibilities document that very clearly says what everyone does. And we hold them to account. I'll hold them to account as to what their jobs are and roles are. But I had a conversation with a staff member recently, and I just said, you know, I want you to think differently, because times are changing pretty quick, and we have to evolve as a business. And it's easy to sort of ride the wave and comfort zone, as it's called, when things are going well. And you don't realize that, you know, things can happen, staff can be unhappy, clients can leave, markets can fall, and you have to have a backup for these things. It's part of the business plan that you need to have. And I sort of said, you know, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. And I like the phraseology.
That's a good quote.
It's probably mine, because no, it'll be a Stoic quote maybe. It's the evolution of a business, of my business. I don't want to change too often. It drives me mad. I want to embrace change and realize that it's a thing, and that there is new software that I have to explore. And yet I don't, because I'm so stubborn perhaps, I've used a lot of different financial planning software and come back to my own proprietary software, which is largely based in Excel. And now AI, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or any of these, you can build your own software. You can build your back office system so you're not dependent on IO. You know, we spend £10,000 a year for 4 licenses on our Intelligent Office, and it's okay, but it's expensive.
It is, I know, but I don't think AI personally is there yet. I think it's getting there, and I think the danger is we start, you know, spending all our time building software, but actually we're financial planners. Let's focus on delivering the service. You know, what's our unique excellence, to quote Dan Sullivan, and just deliver that. You know, stick to what we're good at, kind of thing.
There's lots of documents that we've developed as a business over time where I've thought, what value are we actually delivering to clients? And I've employed carry services recently to speak to lots of my clients to find out from the horse's mouth, so to speak, what it is that they value. And some of them, you know, will read the newsletters and log in and communicate and be engaged insofar as they call an email, and others are not as engaged insofar as they're happy with one meeting a year and the odd email and call. But there's an assumption that you know, markets go up a lot and the client's made a big return, and you know, you think, oh, they must be happy because it's all gone up. And I've got other clients where they've not made as much. They're in a 60-40 model, or perhaps they've been putting money in, taking it out constantly, and they're not focusing necessarily just on that. They want the relationship. It's the trust and the integrity that I think builds a business and retains your clients, so you have a low attrition rate, and you can get to a point when you've got a 95% turnover rate, 95% consistency rate, and 95% of all of our income is recurring revenue. So I'm thinking now, well, what do I need to do to sort of keep those clients happy? You know, what level of support do they need, and how can I best and most efficiently give that to them?
And do you
can
ask them?
and you should.
Do you ask? Yeah, it makes sense, right? It's like we always ask our clients in the planning meeting: is there anything else you want us to do but not doing? And is there anything we're doing you'd
really
like us to stop doing?
Yeah,
And then you just hear it straight from the horse's mouth, guy. They'll tell you. They're the best marketing tool that you can have, really.
But
and
you can be too busy sometimes.
What, to ask them in the meeting?
No, I don't mean that. Sorry, you finish your point and I'll tell mine.
And they're the best referral source. Literally, if you're growing your business, just ask the client, who else can you introduce us to? And they'll be willingly, especially at the end of a planning meeting where they've had a great experience.
It's sometimes a realization. You have to get to this point when you think, where is my business coming from? Where are my clients coming from? And I can tell all of our viewers today that mine is 95% have been from referrals. And I just categorically believe that if you do a good job, a really good job, you'll get referrals. So there's no, bringing on clients from unbiased or vouch for or buying leads in or anything like that. We just didn't want to do that. You've got to have minimums. If you want to build a business that generates more than $1 million as a sole advisor, which we've both done, and we're way beyond that now, and you want to have the average client portfolio of 600,000, 700,000, $1 million, you have to be offering enough value to support a client that's going to pay you, let's say 1% of that, £10,000 a year, making sure that they're happy and having them refer you to similar level clients. And in the same vein, you've got to be willing to say no. If you're in a position where you're getting lots of clients, or perhaps you're just starting out and you're getting lots of referrals, but you're just writing out loads of business, it will come to a sticking point where you'll be like, wow, I've got all these clients, I've sold all this product, and now I've got to look after them. And now
I think
you're going to hit a bottleneck.
I think what's important to the listeners is, if you haven't already done it, is create your personal financial plan, so you know what it's going to cost you to live and what you need to put aside to secure your future and your family's future. Once you've got your personal financial plans, you know what you need to earn. Okay. And then you can put that into your business plan with your other overheads. And you can then say, okay, what do I need to turn over? What's my revenue need to be? And then you can say, well, how many weeks of the year do I want to work? And how many clients am I going to see a week? So if I work 40 weeks of the year and I see 3 clients a week, 120 clients, okay, so I now need to divide my revenue requirement into 120 clients. You know your revenue per client. You can't fault the logic, really. And then that's your marketing process. That's what you have to push forwards. And if your clients are paying you less than your revenue target, you need to ask them to top it up. If they want your service, they'll pay a standing order. If they don't want to pay a standing order, they don't want your service, then you have to make that call.
But that's sort of confidence in your own ability, absolutely, and the value that you're gonna provide. If you believe in your not just the things that you know, not just your technical ability and how many exams you might have. In all the 25 years of being an advisor, I've never had one client question my qualifications or say, what have you got, or are you this, are you that? They remember how you make them feel, and so this is why I like having face-to-face meetings when they come and see us. Because I introduce them to all the staff. They know everybody in the business. One of our unique things is that we don't have a chatbot on our website. We don't have a long-winded answer phone system that says press 1 for this, 2 for that. People get through to us very quickly, and they know the staff, they know the people, and so most of what people remember in a meeting is how you make them feel, not what you said. And that just, again, the statistics amaze me. You spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in a meeting telling a client all this great advice, and they're not actually listening half the time. Maybe they listen to you. As long as they listen to the recommendation section and you go through that, then that's absolutely fine.
So I hope so. Anything else on the plan section, Paul, before we move on?
The thing that I want to stress on this is we talk to clients about having a financial plan, a strategy, a roadmap to achieve their goals, to achieve financial freedom. And business owners, whether they're limited company, sole trader, RI, directly regulated, whatever financial planners listening to this, is you can't stress it enough. Have a plan, but stress test that and go and speak to lots of other advisors that you respect, that you see working well the way you want to work it. And again, it's been done before. Someone can help you devise a plan. If you've got your own business plan, you know the numbers, you know what to expect, you're much more likely to move forward and achieve the targets. So it's working with people like Brett Davison, and other business coaches to sort of develop your business. If you want to move forwards and generate, maybe work with Warren. If you want to pay his fee and get into that next stage of your business.
Cool. Okay.
So
action,
Warren. What should we talk about with regards to action?
Do you know? I hope by listening to this, there have been one or two pieces of information that you can take away and implement. And all I would say is information without implementation is worthless. You know, it's the phrase that was given to me, it's quite long-winded. When I was very young, I was about 17, 18-year-old. It's procrastination is the assassination of success. And it rings in my head, I guess, because I learned it from a young age. And it's like, you know, just putting things off all the time. Never leave sight of a decision without first taking an action. So if you can right now, when we finish this, take some action on things we've done, then great. If you can't, then at least schedule some time to do it. But, you know, I'd say don't wait for it to be right or perfect. Imperfect action is far better than perfect inaction. In just taking some action is better than nothing.
The ideas and plans are valuable, but as you said, execution is everything. And success comes from consistency, as we mentioned here, and discipline and hard work and wanting to improve. So, you know, I want those that are listening to this to sort of have better to break their own belief barriers, because, you know, again, you go back to what it is that you're trying to achieve, how many clients you're trying to work with, and what are you trying to build a business with lots of staff, generate more revenue, more turnover. It's amazing. When I've spoken to other advisors I've respected, not Warren, but some others, about building their business, and I've looked at what they do. You know, you can literally go and have meetings with them, and successful people are usually willing to give you some of their time. You know, you ask them what they do, and then you've got to do it your way. And I can't stress it enough, you know, because it's not if you just get up every day and somebody is booking your meetings for you, and you're seeing clients you don't want to see, and you're doing the business you don't want to do, and you're trying to be a jack of all trades. And I see that a lot with other financial planning businesses. They're literally trying to do mortgages, wills, protection, investments, in tax planning. And it gets to a point when you think, actually, what am I really good at? What subject do I really like focusing on? I like the vanilla, boring stuff, you know, pension savings, investments, protection, and we outsource mortgages and wills, and we don't do anything esoteric. And if you stick to the basics and do them really well, you can be super efficient. You know, you can have fun while you're doing your job. It's supposed to be fun. If you're working with great people that you empower to help you, you know, you empower them and you trust your team, and you build this plan and these processes and systems over time, you're only going to be going in the right direction.
I think sticking to the action is like having a list of things that you need to accomplish, and then I'd say have a why on there as well. So I need to do this business plan. Why do you need to do it? And then once you've got the list of actions that you need to do, is then start scheduling time in your diary to work on it. So ask yourself the question: what would need to happen to take a Friday or a Friday afternoon to just work on your business? So every week, roughly 48 weeks of the year, if you've got holidays and Christmas and stuff like that, you've got 48 lots of 8 hours. I can't do the maths on that, but it's a lot of hours that you be just working on your business and taking it from where it is today to where you want it to be. But the whole preface of all that is, how do you want it to look like? Like Paul was saying, you can't just go and copy other people's businesses because they might not be doing it the way you want it to do it. What's your outcome? How do you want it to look like? And start building a plan around that. Think that's fair?
I focus on the why quite a lot, actually. And you must have seen lots of other financial planning firms' websites. I look at quite a lot of them just to see what they're doing right, how it can look. Yeah, I do. I nosy on Company's House for information on the business. I will look at I look at people's accounts. Yeah, everyone's, yours included. Yeah, and somebody's will talk a good game. When you look at their numbers, you're like, what are you talking about? It's all made up. But the reason I'm saying this is because if you've got to put yourself in the client's position, in their shoes. What are they seeing when they look at your communications, your emails, your website, your newsletters? What are they actually getting? And feedback is the breakfast of champions. If you don't ask, as you say, and find out from clients what they want, how can you deliver it? So when it comes to the why, on our website, we're developing our third version of our website, and it'll be out next month or the month after. It's always delayed. And I realized on there that we only had how and why, which is good because we started with you and then us and then how and why. And it's the whole Simon Sinek. People often know what they do, they know how they do it, but they don't know why that they do it. And I was asking myself the question, and we put it on our website as to our whys, our values, because we want our clients to believe in them. It's in our client agreement. Don't follow everyone else's standard client agreement. Have it in there, your values. If your clients believe in your values and you can relate, you can have grown-up, honest conversations with people. You've got to be able to say no. You've got to be able to give that advice to a client that's making a poor decision. But anyway, the point I was making is we've actually going to add a what section to our website. And this idea that you see loads of advisor websites and it says we sell pensions, we sell all these products, they're all listed. The website should absolutely reflect your values, your integrity, how you work, the relationship. And the what is not we do financial planning. The what is we help you achieve financial freedom. We'll take the stress and emotion away from, or the stress away from it, and give you time back. That's what you're actually doing to a client. You're sorting out their assets and finances. You're there as a voice of reason, a second opinion service, as a guide to the client. And I'm hugely honored and privileged to work with some of these clients. They're very successful. You'll have the same, Warren. And it's remembering that they're just human beings. Build a relationship. People will pay you accordingly, and you'll run a successful business. But don't give away your time for free, and don't elongate meetings or sort of procrastinate and waste your time.
Should we go on to the top tips?
We should. So this is the MPA acronym again, isn't it? And it starts with the whole Simon Sinek as to know your why, and that relates to the why you're in business. What your business stands for. What your values are, and I'll let you do the plan, Warren. But this idea of being authentic, is your name memorable? Is your website memorable? Are you doing things in a way that your client that is slightly different to other firms? It doesn't have to be completely different. I don't want to be contradictory and say follow others, copy them, but then be authentic and original. You've got to sort of get it so that it represents you and your brand. This is the idea of being yourself, being unique, and you can redefine your version of what that means to be successful. I have a successful day if I tick off a load of things on my list, that my action list. My staff are pretty happy. Hopefully, they're very happy. My clients are happy, and I've done a couple of meetings and I've got stuff done. And if in the background I happen to have signed up a few £1 million of transfers, I'll be like, oh, that's even better because I've made some money today, and that's great. But you got to remember, you are running a business, and you still have to be profitable.
Yeah.
So what about plan, Warren?
Plan. Do you know what I want to say is, look, really decide how you want to live the rest of your life. Decide for yourself. Write it down. Dare I say it, have some 10, 5, 3 years and 1 year goals. Break those yearly goals down into quarters. So you say, okay, I'm moving towards this sort of thing. And then read it every day. Read it every single day. Make sure you've got a personal plan, a personal financial plan, just like you would deliver to your clients. Be authentic, as Paul's saying, walk the talk. And then how much you need to earn and put that figure into your business plan. Have your business financial plan, okay. Then decide how many weeks we're going to work. Break those weeks down into how many days, how many clients you're going to see on each day. And then your revenue per client. So like I said before, if it's 40 weeks, 3 days a week, 120 clients, break that into your revenue. And then stick to it. And then decide how can you attract more clients that will deliver this. Document your processes. Make sure you've got as much as you can documented. Run your meetings consistently, and enjoy the process. It's great. It's the best profession there is.
Warren, I remember working for a sales company a long time ago before I even started in financial planning, and they'd always tell you to sort of plan your personal diary first, and then you put your business diary around it, and valuing your own time is super important. I mean, we talk to clients not just about finances. We talk to them about their life, real life matters. And if you're not practicing what you preach as an advisor by living that same life that you're suggesting your clients live, that by taking the time off, looking after yourself, getting the right level of sleep and doing the exercise, doing all of those things, if you're working 10, 12 hours a day, and then saying, oh, I'm working really hard, as if someone else is going to give you a pat on the back. The reality is that you've got to value your time. Really important. As long as you're being, appreciative of your clients and respectful, that nice people, that's our main criteria for taking on new clients, not just how much they've got. If they're nice people, it makes the job so much easier, but you're valuing each other, so you've got to learn to say no. Anybody who's running a business has got to value their own time and learn to say no. Empower your staff to do the jobs that you can't, and actually get to the point where you are moving forwards consistently. And it comes down to action on here, isn't it? Progress over perfection, and actually celebrating those small wins that we talked about this at the PFS conference. I said, when you hit certain milestones or whatever that means, whether it's a number, an AUM, or you've taken on a new member of staff, or someone's just had the 1-year anniversary, take your staff out, celebrate. You've got to build these things in, have fun, because actually it's a chore otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. And then if you don't already listen to us on the Finance Geeks podcast, please tune in. There's more banter between Paul and myself in covering various topics.
Lose subscribers now.
How we run a planning meeting to our thoughts on AI. We basically just have a loose structure, and then listeners sort of feed in, say, it would be great to get your views on this, that, and the other, and we cover that. And if you're interested in running a coaching session with me, I run the Advanced Planners route. Feel free to zap that and give me a shout. Very interested to talk to anyone. So, Carrie, tremendous. I think that we've covered everything we wanted to do. Are there any questions from the audience?
There is one question which might take you for the next 15 minutes to answer, actually. But Leon's asking, as a new financial advisor starting my own business, what went well and what went not so well when you began your financial planning journeys? So why don't we ask Warren to handle that first?
Sure. Okay. So, Leon, thanks for the question. I would say, rather than what went well and what didn't go well, what helped me the most was when I decided, like Paul said earlier, that you can't do everything. And that was both stopping areas of business. So that we, for example, just transactional business, mortgages. So when we stopped doing that, things improved. So what wasn't going well, to answer your question clearly, was doing too much. So trying to be a jack of all trades. So someone would come in, I would try and do business with them. Once I stopped doing mortgages, stopped doing transactional business and just doing financial planning, things improved. And what went very well is when I documented how I was going to run my meetings. So I wrote down an agenda for my discovery meeting. These are the questions I'm going to ask every single client. My investment presentation, this is what I'm going to go through for every single client. My planning meeting, this is my agenda for every single planning meeting. When I documented those and I followed those, because there's a difference, documenting and following it, things really took off, really, really took off.
Thank you, Warren. And what about you, Paul? How can you sort of answer that?
So I'll try and be brief. I started off at Canada Life and was there only about 6 months, and did the CFA 1, 2s, and 3s and stuff. And didn't really know what was going on. I did just got some leads, went out to see them, sold something, and then actually really enjoyed when I started doing mortgages. Because I thought, this is good. I understand this. You can do the mortgage, you can get commission, you can do the life insurance. And it wasn't until 2008 that I sort of realized that the better thing for me than being transactional was building relationships and that whole ad valorem fee charging structure, managing assets, working with clients for the long run, building relationships and doing proper holistic financial planning. And it's taken all of these years to sort of try and refine it further, our CRM system, our processes as a business, our central investment proposition. I mean, all of those things just take time. But originally, it was always about the numbers. And I've worked for firms previously where it's constantly about sales, numbers, more. And I realized that was just not what I wanted. I remember being too busy, spinning too many plates, wearing too many hats, and you would just burn out. And so my advice would be, we focus on what you're good at. If you're really good with people, try to build a business where you can spend your time with people and doing the advice, and then you get, whether it's staff or AI or a bit of both, and all your pros to do everything else. Some people are like doing and successfully can do Zoom and Teams meetings for all their clients. That's just what they do. They're happy to do that, and they can transfer their value. They can demonstrate their value through great emails and reports and getting the clients on board. But it's it's remembering that phrase about Teddy Roosevelt, comparison's the thief of joy. There's lots of people out there super successful. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you want to achieve and being the best version of yourself. And creating your own business plan, very important, working the plan, and then giving yourself praise along the way. You're not going to get to a multi-million-pound business, in the first few years. It just doesn't happen. So it's, just stick to what you know and follow your values.
Thank you, Paul. Next question from Edward. Any thoughts on going directly authorised for a single advisor firm versus joining an independent network? Warren, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. So when I started as an IFA, I joined a network, and then I was a member of a larger firm. And then when I went on my own, I actually joined a second network. And I had a fantastic time with the networks. To be fair, there was nothing really bad I could say about them. So I don't think being part of a network is a negative thing. There are some very successful firms that I know who are part of networks. I think it depends on what your outcome is. What's important to you? Do you want to have complete control and autonomy of your business and income flows? Or do you want to delegate some compliance and have dare I say, a barrier between you and the regulator? But the regulator isn't a big bag, scary individual. You run a compliance firm, you do the right thing, and you'll be absolutely fine. So you do have a number of returns that you have to do when you're directly authorized. So I do think there potentially is a size or capacity consideration. And I would definitely engage a compliance consultant to support you if you're going directly authorized as well. We use CATS. We're very, very happy with them. They've helped us out massively over the years. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm sat on the fence there, but in summary, networks are not all bad. But it depends if you want to protect your whole holistic business, and directly authorized isn't as scary as some people say, but take support.
Thank you, Warren. What about you, Paul? Directly authorized or network?
Well, I've my business Tandem is directly authorized from the first instance, and it was very, very difficult to become DA. I mean, my understanding now is it's I don't know what the exact stats are, but I hear 1 in 10 firms that apply will actually get authorized directly. So if one is starting out earlier on, I think joining a network is definitely the way I would probably go initially, and focus on doing and then consider your options to go DA after that. If you're stubborn like me and you like to do it your own way and not be told by anyone what to do, apply DA from the first instance. If you've got absolute belief in your own abilities and you can delegate the compliance to another firm, which both Warren and I do, then yes, it's a process. If someone tells you all the things you've got to do and you just get on with them and you're a taskmaster, doing all the returns you need to do, it just takes a bit of time. And once you've got to a point when you've done most of the compliance work, it's just updating them, and the returns become easier the more you know. But you can get waylaid if you can't spin a lot of plates yourself, and especially if you don't have the turnover of the staff to warrant it. You can actually spend so much time trying to run your business that you spend so little time with your clients and generating the returns and actually writing the business and seeing your clients and giving the advice. So kind of depends on your own abilities, the cash flow that you've got, the staff that you've got. But if you started out a new business, you could try DA. And I think I would largely encourage people to probably look at both, but definitely easier to go to a network first.
Thank you, Paul. And Warren, you seem incredibly organised with the way you handle your time. I mean, do you ever feel stressed? Do you ever feel that you've got too much on, or have you got this amazing formula?
Oh, no. Sometimes when there's additional things going on, I moved house this year or end of last year. That was a very stressful time because there's an extra thing going on in the diary and stuff. At the moment, there's loads of things going on in the house. So, yeah, it's not. I think I read a book called Getting Things Done by Dave Allen, I think it is, GTD. And it's a fantastic time management system of being, just dumping things and scheduling things, stuff like that. So I really live that process, and I meditate a lot, so it helps you chill out.
Paul, what about you? What do you feel the hardest thing perhaps has been for you as you've sort of been so successful setting up your business?
Working with Warren.
Yeah, Yeah, it's what's the hardest thing? If it's not hard, you won't be successful. If everything comes too easy, there's something wrong. Running a business is definitely difficult, and you want to try and make it so that it's challenging and that you are, as we talked about in this podcast, sort of moving forwards, because there's always something to do. You get situations where it doesn't go to plan, the client's not very happy, the markets fall, there's no clarification on fees or something goes wrong. There's always problems. And it's trying to sort of appreciate that with any successful business, it's knowing how to sort of address those problems and how to deal with them and doing it calmly. Because actually, if your values are good and you've got full integrity, and I keep going back to this concept of integrity because I believe that loads and loads of people out there running businesses have got zero. I mean, we know in politics, a lot of them have got literally zero integrity. They'll say one thing and do another. Do what you're going to do, say what you're going to do and do that. And sort of, I find that businesses, to be honest, the easiest part of my life, it's usually everything else. Kids, sandwich generation of helping parents and sort of personal life, sorting stuff out. So I like the Marie Kondo effect, sort of thinning stuff out. Definitely got to the point of maximum capacity of having too much going on. And you think, gee, just get rid of that. Keep it simple is my suggestion to everybody. The more you have, the more that goes wrong, So.
Thank you, Paul. Coming up to the end of our hour together, Warren, any sort of, if people are sitting there listening to you, any sort of, and wondering, do I really want to begin running a financial planning firm? It is hard. I mean, what kind of advice would you give to sort of take that leap? It's not hard.
It's not hard. It's not hard. Honestly, it's like financial planning is the best profession in the world. Okay. And I go into schools and workplaces and try and say to people how brilliant it is. We are in a privileged position where we help people live their life. You're really delivering true financial planning. It's a joy to sit in front of a client to help them do it. So whether you're helping them accumulate assets to secure their retirement and using the tools that are out there available to do that, or whether you're saying to them, hey, look, you've got more money you're ever going to spend, go and enjoy it, and you get the feedback from them. It's a fantastic profession. I would say the first thing you have to do is find out, how do you want to live the rest of your life? What is your plan? How does it look for you? Create your own personal financial plan. If you're a financial planner, create your own plan, play with it, tinker it, put that into a business plan, and then you get to decide how you want to work. You get to decide whether you want to work 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, or whether you can do a 4-day week, 6 hours a day. This is the beauty of this profession. It's a fantastic profession where we really get to help people. And I think I enjoy it an awful lot because I'm not thinking every day about how do I do this? All that noise is out of my head. It's all documented. It's all down. There's systems in place. The staff know how to do things because we do things pretty much the same way every time. So it's good. It's a great profession.
Can I say that I'm not sure I'm not sure I'd fully suggest that it's easy. I think that when things are going well, when you've built a mature business, it can become a lot easier. But top tip for anybody listening who wants to grow their business is everyone thinks that the client's always right. They're not always right. In fact, a lot of the times they're wrong, right? Don't actually put your clients first, put your staff first. Yeah. You must. We talk about processes and systems, but if you don't have great staff that believe in your values and believe in your system and work they don't have a vision. If you don't have that, the business will not develop. You could have all the best clients with loads of money, but your clients your staff are going to represent you and your brand and your voice and everything. Every email, every conversation will affect your brand and the client's perception of you and the business. So, once you've done what Warren said, is created the plan and done the numbers and so forth, and decided the sort of business you want to be, directly regulated, or they're a network, and what size you want to get to, and all of that. It's building the structure, the systems, and the staff. The people are so important. If you look after your team, they'll look after you. In the same way that you look after your clients, business will do fine. In fact, it'll do better than that. It'll do really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Consistency compounds.
Yeah.
Yes. Where did we get that quote from?
Yeah.
Paul Kuworth, Warren Shute, it's been an absolute joy to have you with us today. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you both again soon.
Brilliant.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks, Paul.
Everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to the Finance Geeks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. Drop your comments and questions on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on social media. Join us next time for more insights to boost your financial planning game.